Free Will and Choice. Chapter 9. Since we believe that our lives do not happen by chance, we ask, what is the importance of free will and choice? Where do they fit into the picture we have been painting? The concept of free will is a complex and much debated topic in philosophy, psychology, and science. Free will generally refers to the idea that individuals have the ability to make choices and decisions that are not determined by external factors or predestined by fate. Instead, free will suggests that people have the capacity to act according to their own desires, intentions, and values. However, free will is not an option for us until we have some awareness of the thoughts that come into our head and an understanding of where they come from. Outside of that, we are unconscious, and we don't have any access to free will in that place. Our options and decisions will be based on our view of our history, our life experience, which is continually updating, our culture and traditions, our beliefs on our capabilities, our natural tendencies, and our habits. That is a difficult set of concepts to put into perspective, which can leave us confused and unsure of the best choices to make. Our awareness awakens when we become conscious of the voices in our head. We always have voices in our head, but we are not always conscious of them. The key to awareness is becoming conscious of them. When you are, you give yourself a choice to understand how they are motivated and consider if you should act on them or not. Let's say anger, for example. You become aware that you are feeling angry at someone or something, and you can observe it without acting on it. I'm not suggesting you suppress it, but simply recognize that you now have a choice. When you become conscious that you are conscious, you're at peace. Realize that where you are looking from is as important as what you are looking at. We often manifest a behavior that is beyond our level of consciousness. There are negative voices from our past continually talking to us in our head, influencing our behavior, making us uncertain of who we are and what we are capable of. We'll look closer at who those voices are in our next chapter. Don't let your unconscious mistakes from the past become an identity of who you are today. We have an opportunity to grow and learn when we suffer the consequences of the unconscious mistakes we have made. If we've taken the lesson from them, then we can let them go. They have done their work. If we have not learned from them, we will take their negative influence on us into our future. Wisdom rises out of awareness. Your suffering is not about your life circumstances. It's more about your mental commentary on your life circumstances. The judgments you make on what is going on in your life are upsetting you and stealing your peace. Concentrate more on what is going on inside you. Exchange your judgments for peace. Rewrite your internal map, your image of yourself. Your current unconscious programs are built for safety and survival. They also carry the unconscious programming from our upbringing. The trauma and wounds of finding out who we are as individuals in a world that strives for conformity. Because we know everything about ourselves, we often come face to face with our shame. We have said and done things in our past that we regret, things we are ashamed of. And even though nobody else might know we said or done those things, we know we did. We have an inbuilt fear of being shamed because not only would we lose face in our communities, but we could lose relationships too. And we need belonging. However, we must be willing to face it and resolve it inside ourselves. We will never accept ourselves for who we are until we shine a light into those dark areas of our soul and make peace with them. That does not mean that we like or accept them, but we must acknowledge them to ourselves before we can bring the benefits of their lessons into our lives, and we can make a choice to do that. Free will is a tool that becomes active in our lives as we become more conscious of who we are, our I. It allows us to make decisions that are in line with the direction we have chosen to go. It allows us to recognize the purpose of the challenges we meet along the way, and gives us the internal peace and power to learn the lessons and apply them into our lives. It helps us to choose the environments that work best for us, the relationships that add to our lives rather than pull us down, and the activities that bring uplifting pleasure to our lives. You will then discover that you are the happiness and peace that you will enjoy. This is your destiny. Reflection on free will often brings the concept of determinism to the table. Both theories focus on the extent to which individuals can make choices on their own, or whether their actions are predetermined by external factors. Let's look at the options. As we said before, free will posits that humans possess the capacity to make choices driven by their desires, beliefs, and intentions, suggesting a degree of autonomy and self-determination. Advocates of free will argue that individuals are morally responsible for their actions, as they have the power to choose between various options. In contrast, determinism asserts that everything, including human actions, unfold in a predictable manner due to prior causes and conditions. This perspective can be based on various factors such as genetics, environment, religion, or societal influences, school, and mass media. Determinists argue that human choices are constrained by these factors, implying that individuals lack true autonomy. For humanistic psychologists such as Maslow and Rogers, freedom is not only possible but also necessary if we are to become fully functional human beings. Both see self-actualization as a unique human need and form of motivation, setting us apart from all other species. Ranged against the deterministic psychologies of those who believe that what is inevitable are those who believe that human beings have the ability to control their own destinies, because your destiny, your unfolding potential, is determined by your character, your destiny, who you will become. However, there is also an intermediate position that goes back to the psychology of Sigmund Freud. At first sight, Freud seems to be a supporter of determinism, in that he argued that our actions and our thoughts are controlled by the unconscious. However, the very purpose of therapy, which Freud supported, is to help a patient overcome that force, and without a belief that people can change and consciously control their thoughts and actions, therapy itself would make no sense. This insight has been taken up by several neo-Freudians. One of the most influential has been Erich Fromm. In Fear of Freedom, he argues that all of us have the potential to control our own lives, but that many of us are too afraid to do so. If we believe in determinism, we can give up our freedom and allow our lives to be governed by circumstance, cause and effect over many generations, other people, political ideology, or irrational feelings. Psychologists who take the free will view suggest that determinism removes freedom and dignity and devalues human behavior. By creating general laws of behavior, deterministic psychology underestimates the uniqueness of human beings and their freedom to choose their own destiny. Thomas Hobbes suggests in his theory, for an action to be free, it needed two conditions. 1, that we desire to perform the action, and 2, nothing may restrain us. This theory was adopted by many philosophers after him who believe Hobbes's ideas resolve the problem of free will. Scientists who study the brain believe that the decisions we make are made in our brains. This belief is supported by repeated studies demonstrating activity in certain areas of the human brain as it carries out certain thoughts or activities, including decision-making. Some studies have revealed the necessity of specific brain regions for initiation of thoughts and behaviors. The brain is physical, subject to the same physical laws as the rest of the universe. Recent studies have revealed that the brain may begin initiating behaviors before we are consciously aware of them. However, science looks at the objective nature of something without consideration of the subjective. I believe, on the subject of free will, this weakens their findings. In popular science, this is often taken to indicate that our brains know what we are going to do before we become consciously aware of it, and as a result, there can be no free will. However, the outcome of these studies, if anything, only indicates that conscious awareness may sometimes be lagging behind a little bit, that there is a very slight delay between processes in the brain and processes in conscious experience. Although reinforcing the idea that physical processes in the brain underlie mental processes, it says nothing about the existence or non-existence of free will. A purely deterministic or free will approach does not seem appropriate when studying human behavior. Most psychologists use the concept of free will to express the idea that behavior is not a passive reaction to forces, but that individuals actively respond to both internal and external forces. Let's look at it from another angle. Let's say we picture our lives like a maze. I'm sure you've had an experience in your life where you felt lost or confused, a feeling that no matter which way you turn, you seem to hit a roadblock or cul-de-sac. There may be more than one option of which way to go, and one solution might be better than another. But how do we choose which one is right for us? And what tools do we use to make that choice? Our destiny is not only to find our way out of that maze, but to find the path that is right for us, the one path that we feel at peace with. We have a built-in ability to do that, however. That ability is inside us only in concept form, as potential. We need to bring it into our conscious mind so we can use it. How can we do that? The key factors here are our experiences while growing up, the influences of our environment, our understanding of what we have learned through education, how we view the challenges that life has presented us with, and what we have learned from them. All these things are in our backpack, as are our hidden abilities and talents, waiting to be uncovered or discovered. However, we only have the contents of our backpack to help us on our search, so we need to continually add our experiences to it, and also occasionally empty out the no longer useful parts of it. This is the growing of our character, our destiny. To better explain our free will concept, do this exercise now. Think about the title of a film, any film. It doesn't matter if you have seen it or like it or how old it is. It's just the title I want you to think of. Perhaps write it down. Okay, so you have used your free will to choose that title from all the films that have ever been made. There were no restrictions put on your choice. How many film titles in total do you think you could write down now? Let's say you're amazing at knowing film titles, and you could recall about 100 titles right now. It is estimated that there have been approximately 500,000 films made so far, so your choice of film title came from the 100 titles that you knew. That means you were choosing, with your free will, from around 0.02% of the possible selection of film titles. Can you see that the information you are using to make that film title choice is severely restricted when compared to the overall potential choice? Even though you used your free will to make your choice, it was determined by and limited by your available knowledge. So, back to the maze. Yes, you have free will to decide which way to go. However, your choices are limited within the scope of your available understanding of those choices. Is it chance that a person becomes an outstanding scientist, or business person, or inventor, or author, or athlete? Did they learn that, or was it already inside them as potential, waiting to be found, and their education or training brought out their unique way of doing that? Is there something special inside each one of us? When you discover your I, you will be better placed to make the right free will choices for your life. Those choices may not change the whole world, but they will surely change yours. The answers to the questions, where am I in my life, and where is my life going, will be found amongst the answers to these three questions. 1. Who you were in the past. 2. Who you are now in the present. 3. Who you are becoming in your future. When you get a clear understanding of who you are and who you want to be, the why and the where of your life will become clearer. That is the understanding and growing of your character, your destiny, which will unfold your destiny. Quote, "While we are free to choose our actions, we are not free to choose the consequences of our actions." Stephen Covey.